So welcome to today's video. My name is Scullion. I'm a marathon runner. I went to the Olympics for Ireland. I'm lucky that I've had access to some of the best athletes in the world, some of the best coaches in the world, Olympic champions, world record holders. And across that sort of journey, I've also been able to get into amazing fitness and run 2:09 for the marathon, 2:10, 2:11 on numerous occasions. But you pick up on things that these guys do that most people probably just don't know about. Pre-run activation, the post-run sort of stretching routines, the gym work, everything that goes into a training week that perhaps you guys don't have a single clue about. I do a bit of a review at the end of each week. I've been documenting my journey towards the Copenhagen Marathon. And lately in that review, it probably sounds like I'm being quite harsh when I'm saying, I ran 70 miles this week, I did 2 good sessions, but I'm giving the week a 4 out of 10. I'm being harsh because I know what a full week of training looks like. I know what it takes to run a 2:09 marathon, and I know that the stuff I'm doing right now isn't even in the same ballpark as what a full week would have been that created a big result like that. And sometimes it's not the tempo stuff, sometimes it's not what pace was the long run, or how much mileage did you do that week. It's all the little fillers. It is the pre-run stretching, pre-run activation, post-run stretch. It's going to the gym maybe 3-4 times a week. And I would imagine that most people just don't know what else they could be doing to make themselves that little bit better. And that's what today's video is all about. Let's get into it. So moving into 2025, I'm completely supporting myself. All I would ask for you is to like and subscribe to today's video. Perhaps comment below. That would be absolutely fantastic. You can also check out 262clo.com. That's my running gear. There's over 230 5-star reviews. They're all live. They're all public. You can go and read them all. Check that out and let's get back to the video. So a full week of training isn't just the mileage. It's not just, did you do your tempo session? Did you do your intervals? There's a lot more to it. And so when I'm sending out the review and I'm giving myself a 4 out of 10, it's because there's just little bits missing. I'm working a lot at the moment. I, did the startup business, the 262 Clo. So I do understand that it's not easy when you're working to do some of these little extras. But at least for today's video, I can give advice on what I could start doing now while I'm full-time working, and maybe I don't have the luxury of being a full-time athlete and being perhaps up in altitude with a group, etc., being up a mountain training with a group is what I mean. And so even though some of my big results have came from, these camps up a mountain where I'm not working and I am spending every minute of the day possible to be better at running, it doesn't mean that you can't take some of the lessons and some of the stuff that I do well on these camps and apply it to, the life that we're living right now. Perhaps we're in the same boat at the moment with me working quite a lot. I'm sure you guys work. And so you can apply some of this to your life right now and make your training week better. This is not just for professionals. This is not just for people that are full-time athletes. So any of my, best marathon results, whether it was 2:09, whether it was, the 2:11s or 61 half marathon, it's always the same patterns. The training week is just a full week. And I think a lot of people, obsess over like the mileage number, stuff like that. I think a lot of people possibly get to 80 miles for the week. Maybe that's your goal, or 60. And then you sort of think, job done, what a brilliant week. And perhaps it's just because you don't know better that could have probably been, or that probably could have been a much better week if it just included, some really simple stuff. And so the way to break it down would be to sort of look at the demands of race day. So the demands of race day is more than just fitness, like your body needs the sort of chassis and the structural strength to be able to handle race pace. You might have built the fitness to handle race pace, but it doesn't mean that you've sort of got the chassis or the body physically in terms of, muscle strength, core stability, this sort of stuff. And so that's where all the pre-run activation comes in. That's your like post-run, whether it's gym, maybe it's a little bit of gym at the back of the car when you've just finished the session. But that's your sort of physical aspect of it. The other area to the physical aspect part would be on all these camps, we would have done gym 3 to 4 times a week. Not always heavy lifting, but basically 2 of those sessions would have sort of been maintenance, where you're keeping on top of all the little areas in your body that often break down, whether it's, calves, hamstrings, quads. Everybody will be slightly different. But what we're doing on these camps is we're making sure that we're strong so that we can handle better training. If we didn't do the gym, we wouldn't be able to handle the training load that we're doing. So gym plays this role of getting the chassis great for race day, but then also getting the chassis strong to handle the training that's going to build the fitness to get you ready for race day. So you're kind of seeing the training is, this is the training needs to get done. How do I look after myself outside of training? What do I need to be doing in the gym? How does my recovery stuff need to look like so that I can handle this training? You're not taking training away because you know that your calves get tired. You're adding a calf routine in the gym so that your calves don't get tired so that you can do the training. Basically, the training becomes the non-negotiable in the situation. This is the amount needs to get done. This is what creates a really good result. You figure out how to, recover plenty, whether it's napping, all this sort of stuff, whether it's doing the gym stuff, whether it's doing a pre-run activation every single day so that you're ticking the box of, I didn't start a single run without my muscles being in a pretty good place. Because maybe across a week or a month, that just adds little layers of fatigue. And so these sort of forgive me, but these sort of bullshitty training weeks that I've been doing at the minute, which is really harsh because I'm working extremely hard. So I'm being harsh because I've ran 209 and I know what it took. But they're feeble excuses for a good week of training because I'm literally throwing on running kit and then I'm running out the door, maybe not even waiting for satellites on the bloody watch because I'm in such a hurry. And then I'm coming back and I'm not really thinking about my hydration and I'm not really thinking about a post-run recovery drink, and there's no stretching. And so then it's no wonder that little injuries come up, and then it's no wonder that what I've been thinking lately is I maybe wake up on a Monday and I'm maybe quite tired, and I think to myself, why am I tired from this training? I'm not even really training that hard, but I'm noticing myself being tired. And the reason that's happening is because I'm not doing the little things, right? My hydration's probably not where it needs to be. Maybe my sleep hasn't been as good as it could be. Maybe my nutrition is not great, and I'm not focusing on that. And so also if you're not doing the gym stuff like I talked about, or the pre-run activation or the post-run stretch, the problem you're sort of finding here is then it actually takes far less training to make you tired, right? Because your goal was to treat this body as a temple almost, or as good as you can, so that the training takes the least amount out of the body, but the training has to get done because it's a non-negotiable, and so that you recover as quickly as you can for the next bit of training. Whereas I would imagine if you were sitting at home right now and you could put your hand up in the air or you could comment below, you're going to fall into the bracket of you were just getting the training done, right? For the sake of getting it done. Yes, you wanted a big result. Yes, you wanted a PB, but you were content just getting it done. You felt there was a victory just getting it done. You might not even be taking your time in the warm-up. You might be rushing through the sort of warm-up routine because you're busy, right? So that's the perfectly understandable part of all this. When you're up a mountain and you're with a group and running is the only thing that you're focusing on, if you don't do your pre-run activation, you don't do your post-run stretch, and you're not planning your nutrition well, or you're not napping in the afternoon, you're not doing your job well. When your job is not to be an athlete and you're actually working in a full-time career, etc., or you have kids and you have other things, it's understandable when you're not doing those little things because you possibly don't have time, right? But what we're trying to do is find ways to integrate some of this stuff into your sort of routine that doesn't hold you back from your job or your family life, but it might start to help your body recover and handle the training better. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. So starting from next week, at the end of next week, my week's training review is going to be epic because it's now getting 10 weeks to Copenhagen Marathon, and it's sort of getting to a place where it's like, shit, you need to really step in here and almost draw a line in the sand and say that's it. If you still want to race Copenhagen, if you still want to sort of respect the marathon and all that, you need to start putting in the work, okay? And so how it sort of works is we'll start with like Monday. You know, we're about to wake up tomorrow, and you've got, you know, maybe it's a steadier run that you're going to do. Well, that kind of then starts the night before, that you want to be getting that sort of good sleep, and that's leaning towards like not watching a crazy action movie right up to you're just about to go to sleep. It means maybe putting your phone away, sort of 30 minutes to go. You can read a book, is really, really useful. You can do some gratitude journaling, is proven over time. When I made the Olympics, this is crazy, gratitude journaling. When I made the Olympics in 2020 for the marathon, I wrote down in a journal every day how I had done, and then I drew these two arrows. One was, are you moving towards your goal? And one was away, or are you moving away from your goal, right? And then I actually signed it, my name, and then I wrote Tokyo 2020. I did that journaling the entire journey towards the Olympics, and I guarantee you that it helped me qualify for the Olympics. I reminded myself every day, that's the goal. You want to qualify for the Olympics. So I wrote it down. Tokyo 2020, are you moving towards your goal? Are you moving away from your goal? I literally drew the arrows. That's likely what got me on a plane to the Olympics. Gratitude journaling is so, so important. So you can look to include some of that. Then you obviously go to sleep. You work on your hydration in the morning. Maybe you just have like a glass of water kind of before you go. I'm going to assume that you had to get up a little bit early, so I wouldn't really recommend breakfast. In terms of a pre-run activation, don't overcomplicate it. You're looking at like maybe a couple of calf raises, but not too many that you end up in a cramp. If you haven't been doing much calf raises, you could start with some calf walks. I'll put a link in the description of little routines like this. And then you can do like some like walking lunges, and you can do like a little bit of core stuff, which is really good. And then if you have a TheraBand, you could do some like crab walks. Easy sort of little routine, nothing crazy. You're looking at like 5 minutes, right? But it's just that you've decided to make it a priority. That's all that matters here. You've just decided to make this a priority. The training's a priority. How you recover coming out of the training's a priority. You go get your run done. You know, maybe you do a steady run because that's what you had planned that day. And then when you come back, then you need to sort of be thinking about your hydration, a little bit of a snack, get yourself in the shower, and then off you go to work. When you're at work, the full week at work means that you would plan your nutrition in some way, shape or form to support the training later that day or the next day. So that's probably what I'm doing an awful job of lately. I'm finishing the run. God knows if I'm eating or not. I sometimes drink a glass of water, sometimes I don't. And then I'm straight to the office. And probably the only thing I'm prioritizing is like my next coffee, right? And then I'm sort of rushing through work. And then I'm going home, and then it's no wonder you're not arsed about training again. And a lot of the tiredness is poor planned nutrition, not working on the hydration, probably drinking too much caffeine. So you would already be thinking about when your last meal is going to be before you're possibly going to go train that night. And then what I likely will have to do tomorrow, which is going to annoy me that I'm going to say this, but I'm probably going to go for then an easy run, which is super important to run twice a day for me at the minute. And then I'm going to have to do some gym. The gym's going to support the training. The gym's going to support the fact that I want to start adding in more steady runs. And the gym's going to start helping some of these sessions as they start to get longer. If you want to go from 70 mile to 80 to 90, you have to be doing the gym stuff. Again, there's free gym routines. I'll put it in the link below. And that's all you're looking to do. You're just looking to, the couple of additions was the pre-run activation and the gym. And probably by starting to include gym, you can start doing some steadier runs, which is key to racing really well. Steady runs really help. You're making more of your days per week count. That's what's so important in running. If you can make every day count versus only maybe 2 or 3 days count, that's what's going to make you race better at the end of a big training block. So then moving into Tuesday, you know, Tuesday's then like a session day, and you're probably going to do something like 4 times 2 mile or 3 times 2 mile or a bit of a tempo or intervals. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is Monday night you're eating a good meal, you're maybe doing your pre-bed routine, you might be doing your journaling, and then you're getting up in that same mindset as you carried Monday morning. We've got your pre-session routine, you're going to do that little bit of an activation, and you're just setting yourself up for a good day. You're going to take your time in the warm-up. You're not trying to rush this. You might want the reps to go quickly in terms of pace, but you're not trying to like get through the session so quickly. I don't know if you guys have the same feeling, but I didn't ever have this when I was just a runner. But it seems like when you enter the working world, you just always feel like you're late for something, and you don't feel like you have enough time. So you're always trying to rush through things, rush through the warm-up. Maybe, you know, instead of driving somewhere, you've just ran somewhere. It's almost like you're not giving the session the respect that it deserved, and then you're expecting it to go really well. And then if you just kind of like scrape through sessions and you don't warm up well and you don't do your pre-run activation, you might think you got away with it, but you probably don't absorb as much of the session as you could have if you just slowed things down a little bit. And I don't mean pace, I mean just the psychology around it and the whole rush. If it means getting up 20 to 30 minutes earlier, then that's likely all you've got to do. Is just get up 20 to 30 minutes earlier, give yourself a little bit of breathing space, and that's going to help calm everything down. The session's probably going to go way better. You're probably not going to feel in such a hurry, and that's really going to help. That's likely the day that there needs to be a little bit of sort of like post sort of session stretching, or maybe that's your foam rolling, or that's your like, you know, you've got the rolling stick, stuff like that. But this is a day you want to start to keep on top of maybe anything you felt in the session. And that's where the rolling routines come in really well. If you do get physio or you do get massage, you're paying attention to the body. A full week would have a proper gym session after that sort of harder session. Not everyone's going to have time to be able to do that. So my advice would be, I genuinely think what I might have to start doing if time does become like this problem is I'm thinking of doing a YouTube video where I actually do like maybe a lunge routine or a kettlebell routine that just becomes very fast, 10 to 15 minutes, back of the car, you've done the session, you've done your bit of a warm down, you came back to the car, you grab your dumbbell, you grab your kettlebell, you sort of, not rush, but you get through sort of 5 to 6 exercises. It's not a brilliant gym routine, it's not going to change everything in your life, but if you go from 0 to doing that kettlebell routine or lunge and sort of like circuit type stuff, it is going to make a massive difference. I mean a monumentous difference, even though it's only 10 to 15 minutes. But you're going from 0, right? Now, if you were going from, I do a full gym routine, it's an hour, and oh, I like the look of your lunge routine, so I'm going to just stop doing the hour gym routine, I'm going to go back to that. I mean, it's going to help more than 0 would, but you should probably stick to doing, you know, your full gym routine. But I think that would be a great video. So you would have included some gym. Why did we include gym? We included gym because when you actually train, you're breaking the sort of muscles down. When you break the muscles down, they actually get weaker, right? So you've broke them down, you've made them weaker, and then guess the gym does? Helps to build them back up, helps to make them stronger, helps you actually handle the running training better, makes you faster. It does so much good stuff. Super, super important. So we've done our sort of gym. And then we're same of our night routine. Some people might double run. If you're not double running a full week of training, you might choose to do a little bit of cross training. You might do some elliptical, you might do something on a spin bike, you might go to a spin class, you might even just do hot yoga. But you're doing something that's a little bit extra on top of your training week. Wednesday, super simple day. Maybe it's a medium long run. Maybe it's just a couple of runs. Maybe it's just one run. Treat it like you did Monday. Thursday, it depends how your week setup is. If it's sort of like a tempo day, you're treating it just like you did Tuesday. Pre-run activation, good meal the night before, good sleep the night before. You got yourself really hydrated or really well hydrated. And you're treating it exactly like you did Tuesday. Slow things down, don't try to rush your way through it. And then you might do your gym after that session. I'm thinking 2 gym sessions a week would be plenty for most people, but that doesn't mean that you can't do some stuff at home. That physios over time, you're going to be watching this right now. If you've ever been to a physio, they would have given you rehab for whether it was your calf, your hamstrings, your adductors. That stuff never stops. That's just an area in your body, whatever way you run, you probably overload it and it breaks down on you. So you need to keep on top of that. So now we're sort of into like, let's say Friday, we're back to like an easier day. And again, it's just repeat process. It's the same as Monday. And Saturday, perhaps we're back to, you know, session day. When I ran the 209 and I ran then 211 at Dublin 2 years ago and podiumed, we gymmed, honestly, we probably gymmed 4 to 5 days a week, which sounds too much, but it wasn't these crazy hard gym sessions. But we were full-time professional runners. And for the first time, I actually lived like a full-time professional runner, in terms of, if you're doing something full-time, you don't just try to sneak the hour run in, have a shower, and then go on with your day. You would do the hour run, and then you would think, is there anything I could do in the gym? Maybe I should go to the gym. Yeah, I'll go to the gym for an hour. So you'd go in the gym, you would do some stretching, you'd do a little bit of core, you might do some TheraBand stuff, you might do some hurdle walkovers to open your hips up, and you just made running more full time. You seen it as, if I could do something for an hour, whether it's stretching or whether it's prehab or whether it's, activation stuff, and it's going to make me better, well, I'm willing to put that time in. So it's no wonder that created the best results. But I still think for you guys, gym 2 to 3 times a week, you're going to find that's probably enough. And do consider maybe doing a bit of a routine at the back of your car, whether it's some lunges, maybe some like squats, maybe some RDLs. You want to just start including some of this stuff into what you're doing. You could find a curb, hopefully, by the road, not dangerously by the road, and you could do some calf raises on the curb. You want to think about loading your calves, your hamstrings. You might even be able to do a couple of step ups. You can do your pogos, your sort of plyometric stuff. I've been pushing, some videos on that lately, but it's just consistency. If you can't get to a gym, the back of your car is perfect, because you can do that consistently. That just becomes the routine, and that's just what you do. You're just going to find it supports your running technique really well, and a lot of those aches and pains that you're getting, they're just going to go away. So that's Friday, sort of Saturday. Then we sort of get to Sunday, and my only sort of advice for Sunday, obviously it's long run day. If you're training for a marathon, this is where you want to practice your fueling. Super, super important. You're not really leaving it to race day to start practicing this stuff. How much you can tolerate, what you can tolerate, how you carry it, etc., etc. The other sort of big thing then with Sunday is the review that I've been doing lately. There's nothing quite like doing a review, and I have to send it to a lot of people, which kind of sucks. But when you're doing this review, it really makes you question what you did that week, which sounds stupid, but it's like you have to look at Wednesday, and if on Wednesday you just did a 6-mile run and you're supposed to do 10 to 12, you have to make it real that you only did it 6 and you didn't do 12. I think when you just sort of do it at the time and you sort of move on, you need to come back and acknowledge something to create change the next week. If you didn't do gym, and beside gym you have to write 0, you have to make it real. You have to acknowledge it. And then you're like, shit, well, if I don't want to put 0 at the end of next week, well then I better get in the gym. And there's your like full week. And you're like, it doesn't seem much different to what I'm doing right now. And it's not. But the different little elements to it matter. And it's the little pre-run activation in all the coaching plans that I have. They're all on the website. There is always pre-run activation. There is always post-run little bit of stretch. That's the stuff that everybody skips. Gym, that's the stuff that everybody skips. And I think everybody thinks that running is steady runs, mileage, intervals, sessions, race equals race result, right? No, these little things that you think are silly make up so much of the end result, because they're the tedious and actually the most time-consuming bits, but they influence the end result massively. And anytime I've trained at home and I haven't done the sort of full-time thing, and probably because I'm by myself, I'm more easily distracted at home, I'm not with the group, so we're not going to the gym together, it's my worst marathons. Because the week just isn't a full week and it doesn't deserve the big result. On race day, when I've done all the little things, and I've done the gym plenty, and I've done the pre-run activation and some of the stretching, I've slept well, I've worked on hydration, and I've just trained harder because I'm doing all those little things, my sort of average heart rate across the marathon is always much higher. And all I've done is by doing all these little things, I've allowed myself to be able to maintain a much higher heart rate on race day, because I'm much, much fitter and I'm much, much more durable, and so able to handle a really fast race. When you skip all those little things, your heart rate just kind of drops in the final sort of like 6 miles, because you can't push anymore. You don't have the ability to anymore. But I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. I hope you're going to add some of this stuff in. Do like, subscribe, comment below. Go to 262clo.com if you would, and take care.